Corruption has always been a poison to society. The misuse of entrusted power for private, illicit, and personal gain is one of the main driving factors for corruption, especially in the government system. The same government system that was made to aid the people is now filled with corruption. And some of the negative impacts of corruption in government includes the weakening of institutions, deeper inequality among the people, and also the erosion of public trust and democracy. Firstly, corruption in government has a severe negative impact on the country's own institutions, that is by weakening it. When crimes like bribery, embezzlement, nepotism become entrenched in the systems, they can trigger a cascade of institution decay. Public bodies' qualities are ruined. The effectiveness and credibility are also ruined. This happens when corrupt politicians or elites, to say the least, buy their way into these government positions to not help the people, but for their own personal need. For instance, in 2015, the Wall Street Journal and the Sarawak Report say that an approximately $700 million that was linked to the 1MDB project was transferred into the then Prime Minister of Malaysia, Najib Razak's personal account. This shows that the greed that these elites have in their absolute possession can severely affect the country's own financials. This proves that this whole motive of them getting into power is heavily influenced by their need and greed of personal gain. Ultimately, the misuse of power in the country's government has been shown to severely impact the strength and the quality of the country's government's quality. Corruption in government is also one of the main negative factors for the increasing inequality in our country. When public funds meant for the people of the country is swindled and is diverted into their own pockets, basic necessities and essentials like healthcare, good road, great building, education, and all that stuff is greatly reduced for the less fortunate. Maybe for the more fortunate who are rich, they can easily afford that. But for those who cannot, they are greatly affected by this. Aside from that is the tax system. The tax system is heavily manipulated by their own circles. Those in power can manipulate the tax system to benefit them, while simultaneously it will affect the more fortunate, which is us, the working people. For example, in 2016, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) seized tens of millions of valuables and assets from the Sabah Water Department Director and his accomplices, who were at the time siphoning over an estimated 3.3 billion ringgit Malaysia that was meant for the project of the rural state water, meant to make it easier for the people of Sabah to access water, a basic necessity. This just shows how the greed can greatly affect the people there. Consequently, these greed in the corruption, this corruption among the government greatly negatively affects the less fortunate in the country. Next up, one of the, if not the biggest negative or downsides of corruption in the government is the erosion of public trust and democracy. When all these when all these government bodies are doing crimes, corruption, bribery, anything you can think of, the people that is under this government started to develop skepticism, the lack of trust for these people in power. They can't really trust them anymore, since the thought of them abusing their power for their own personal gain is buried deep down in their head. When skepticism is among the people now, it drives the public to not comply with the law anymore, to not comply with the authorities anymore, since they think that now all politicians are the same. Because of maybe one or two politicians that did the bad thing, that did the crime, the rest, maybe the good ones, are affected by it. So not only the people, but those who work with them are also affected by this. As for example, in around 2024 and 2025, there is the KLIA counter setting. What is it? It's basically where the government bodies that work at the KLIA is bribed with a sum of money to let unidentified, undocumented people from other countries to come in without the need of the basic identification, you know. So with that said, with that happening, the public feels like if it's that easy for people to get in our country without having to without heavy documentation, the public loses trust in those that works among the said government. In short, the corruption in government heavily decreases the public's and the people's trust in the country's own government and institutions. In conclusion, corruption in government greatly affects not only the people but also the said government, alongside the image of this country. Although it mostly affects the citizens and the public, whereas for the elites, they can easily buy their way or manipulate their way into leveraging their life without the need to suffer from all these consequences. With that said, also, those who are in power among the government bodies need to play their own role in ensuring that the future of this country is governed by actual skillful, honest people, instead of these heinous, disgusting criminals that buy their way into these governmental positions for their own personal and illicit benefit.